much for joining us on the call. If we just get your thoughts on the win at ECU, please. And we expect to see you back at home Saturday against the Huskies.
Well, obviously, it was a very tough, hard-fought road victory that we had to find a way. ECU, in a lot of phases, outplayed us. They really did a good job. I think defensively, we didn't have a bunch of answers for Holton and their passing attack. Obviously, we gave up an incredible amount of passing yards. And I think what it did was it made us realize anytime you go on the road or anytime you're playing inside this league, the balance is a lot better than people think. Whether they're 0-3 or 0-4 in league play, there's players and there's opportunities no matter who it is that you're playing, especially when you're on the road. So we found a way. I think the greatest thing is some way, somehow, we found a way late in that game, being down 10, to claw ourselves back in, make a couple plays to put ourselves in a position for our offense to drive the ball down the field and kick a 32-yard game-winning field goal to seal the deal. We had some, SMU was a little bit like this last year, maybe different because it wasn't as high scoring, but we were in a situation where we probably hadn't deserved to win the football game and found a way to kick the field goal to go to overtime and win the game. So I think we grew a lot from that. So I expect that we'll grow a lot from that road victory this past weekend.
Take questions for Coach Luke Fickell, please. Star 1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue, then the operator will introduce you.
And we'll take a question from Chris Zanini with The Athletic.
Hey, Luke, how's it going?
Good.
The American has 4 ranked teams right now. I think it's the third most among all conferences. What does that just kind of say about the strength of the league this year?
I've been saying it for, I think the entire season now. The balance is really good. I think some of the teams that don't, obviously, East Carolina has struggled and, still battling through the first year with a new coach, but they're a pretty good football team. I mean, they've got some talent. They're going to be really good. I think Tulsa's another team that I know nobody's talking about. They're not ranked, and they're 0-4 or something in the league, or maybe 1-4. I'm not sure exactly what happened this past weekend, but they're a really good football team as well. So everybody knows or is seeing more about the guys at the top with the Memphis, the SMUs, the Navies, us, UCF. There's a lot of balance, and it's not just offensive oriented. I think it's around the board, offensively, defensively, throughout the entire league.
And a lot of these teams are now starting to play each other, like SMU Memphis last week. You guys have Memphis later on. Well, what does that mean that the league will have not only the spotlight last weekend, but also a lot of high-profile games the rest of the season?
Well, you could say that they did a good job at scheduling, maybe. They found a way to, when it really gets down to it and late in the season, that there's some really good matchups. So I don't anything other than, it's going to give us all, the entire league, a little bit more recognition. As a coach and as an individual in the league, I don't know that, we overly worry about that during the season. We just look at the opponents and what we got to do and how we can get better.
Thanks for the time, Luke.
Thanks.
And we'll take our next question from Jason Stamm with Rivals.com.
Hey, Coach. I just was wanting to ask you about that. You mentioned those yards that you guys gave up on defense, and obviously UConn's a totally different team than ECU. But what adjustments do you feel like just overall need to be made, or what do you do to adjust from the ECU game after watching some tape, like I'm sure you have since then?
We're going to scrap the entire defense and start over. No, we're not. We're going to go back to work. I think that you can't panic. I think for as a player and as a coach, we got to do some things. We got to go back to work, and I don't think that there's anything that's say we can't do. We got beaten some man coverage and some shots, and it is what it is. We made the plays in the UCF game. They made the plays Saturday night, and it put us behind. And I think when it starts to happen, I think the biggest thing for us is we just can't lose confidence. We've got ways to mix some things up. We've got to believe in them, and we got to keep playing. So, I mean, it's not all. I mean, I give them a lot of credit now. When a guy gets hot, he got hot. And, but for us in general, gives us an opportunity to go back to work and say, hey, I told you that 90% of these teams in this league are all, very, very capable of beating one another. And if you don't come to play and you aren't prepared, then, you're going to struggle.
Kind of along those lines, Coach, like how do you use a game like this as a teaching tool or motivating? Just that you've had, like you mentioned, you had a game like that last year. That's in you. Like what do you use? How do you use that as a coach moving forward? Just that experience.
Well, this is what you try to do in all your off-season work. We do some things in the weight room that just they make it very difficult, or even tell them in advance, just trying to prepare them to say, hey, this is going to be a really unique situation. And so you're trying to see how they'll react and respond, not just to a workout, but to each other. And you try to make those intensity levels and the energy and the emotion so high to prepare them. You do it in camp, but you can't ever really simulate what it's really like. And for us to be in one of those situations and to be on the positive end of it, it gives us a lot better opportunity to learn, but also to be critical of ourselves. It's even more difficult when you don't win those situations to come back and not just, see how you handled it emotionally, but now correct the mistakes, fundamentally technique-like offense and defensive, because of where you are mentally with maybe getting beat or even getting handled. So I think it's twofold for us. It's emotionally a great opportunity for us to see how we got to come together and how we did come together, and then the things that we got to be able to do to be better offensively, defensively.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And any further questions for Coach Luke Fickell, please? Star 1 on your telephone keypad, if so. Coach, appreciate the time today. Look forward to
Thank you.
having you once again next